pretty lonely. Hello and welcome to Foundry Files, episode 30. I'm Admiral Murphy and wait, Wee-Wee's not here. That's weird. I almost injured him. Anyway, so Wee-Wee's off for a little bit. He had some personal stuff going on, so hopefully he'll be back for next week's episode. But I did want to have an episode this week because there is some stuff I wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to go too long with a break because we were off for about a month when the Foundry was down, and that's something I do want to talk about too because so news-wise, there was a State of the Game released. I want to talk a bit about that, and then there's a review that's kind of different from usual. I joined up with some Jupiter Force people to play the mission Admiral BoBo Goes to War. And if you're not familiar with this is quite a different type of mission than we've reviewed here on Foundry Files. And I want to talk about it because there's a point to why I wanted to talk about it on the show, because I'll talk more about it in the review. And then I do have a community feedback question pertaining to recent events that have gone on, because I'm curious to how Foundry Authors are feeling right now. So we'll get to that at community feedback at the end of the episode. So let's go into news. So recently there was a State of the Game released for basically the plans for Season 9, 8, whatever they're calling it. It's confusing me because they said Season 8 wasn't Legacy Romulus, but now it is. Okay. Anyway, whatever the next season is, which is slated for November, December, like the usual. Right now, basically, they've gotten it down to the schedule where there's a early summer release and then the winter release around the holidays, and that's what's been kind of plugged here in the recent State of the Game. There probably was some on the recent stuff, but everybody skipped that and just went to, whoa, what's going to be new? What's going to be coming out in the later season patches? And I don't know if it was well received. I don't read the forums too much, but I was on Stoked Radio this week, and it wasn't received by the people over there. And I know for sure it wasn't received well by like the PvP community and stuff like that. But basically what happened was the State of the Game is covering Season 9 is basically going to be a space adventure zone, which kind of cool. I wanted to see one, but again, that's going to be with another grindy reputation system. I'm not even doing the Nukara one right now, so I'm just like, I didn't do I don't know when Nukara came out originally, but I did it a few times and it was just like, it's okay. It needs a reward system though, and it's kind of late now for when they added in the Nukara one because everybody was kind of already burned out on it. I mean, you could do the Tholian missions and stuff like that, but it was just kind of I didn't care for the reward, so I haven't been doing that one. Hopefully the next one's better and I might actually do that one, but we'll see. But so they have that planned in the works. They wanted to do something with a Voyager species. Don't know much about that. Maybe that's tied in with the Space Adventure Zone. And there's one featured episode slated. Just one. They said featured episode in the State of the Game. So it's not like it's going to be a series or multiple missions. It's just one. So they'll get one story mission with the next patch, which is going to tie us in for the huge arc, I guess, that's coming for the Iconians. Which, cool, but it's only one. You'll be done with it probably in a half hour, 45 minutes. And you'll have to wait until whenever future episodes start coming back out and stuff. But the problem is PvP, Foundry, doffing, and crafting, all systems that need improvement in the game, were not even mentioned in the state of the game, meaning most likely they're not being worked on for the next season patch. And that's that's what I really want in this season patch. I don't really want this new grindy content. Heck, I wouldn't even care if they weren't doing this one featured episode or a whole bunch of featured episodes for this, because Legacy Ramus honestly was a bunch of cool content. At this point, I was kind of looking forward to updating systems that could be really fun. Like, I have a max level crafter, it's just I don't craft because they kind of killed it with dilithium and stuff. PvP, a lot of PvPers want their updates for that because that's kind of needed some updates since the game launched. And Foundry's in the same boat too. That's why I'm talking about the other systems, because Foundry, it's been needing of updates since it was launched as well. There were some key things that have been missing that have been slowly added in. And it's interesting that they don't say anything about the Foundry, especially after they've been all like, oh, when Neverwinter comes out, there'll be updates for the Foundry and such. And we're not hearing about them in the state of the game, which part of me is worried there aren't going to be any Foundry updates. And the only bright side I can see is most of the times Foundry has not been updated along with the season patch. Here and then it has been some stuff. I think the last one where we got patrols and stuff that were kind of broken came in a season patch. But usually the updates to the Foundry, while minor, have come in between the seasons, just like when they're ready. So could that be the case here, why they're not talking about it? Maybe they're just not talking about it because there's not a lot of Foundry authors out there. But it's still kind of sad to see, because a lot of people have been waiting a long time for updates like this to the various systems, like us Foundry authors, who I'm assuming you're a Foundry author if you're watching this, or a Foundry player. They haven't been talking about this, and I'd like to see some communications on the plans for the Foundry. If there aren't any, just say it. I guess they can't though, but hopefully there is something in store for the Foundry for an update sometime soon. Maybe it's just taking on time, but it does have me worried for the state of the Foundry in the future, because originally we went off for a month or so because the Foundry was broken and nobody could make missions. They locked us out, and even though they opened up the Foundry and then we're like, oh, okay, people can work on missions again, not the case. The Foundry is still really broken on the inside. I haven't been in it for about a week or so because I've had issues with it, but I'm still hearing people are having issues making their missions and stuff like that. So there's hopefully, if somebody actually has gotten into the Foundry and actually had it work for a while, if they fixed all the bugs, let me know in the comments. But I haven't seen anything about it, so most likely Foundry is still crashing randomly for people, which I'd like to hear something about that, because right now it makes it kind of impossible for you to author anything in the Foundry. So the major problem here is just communication from the Foundry. And I know this was discussed on Foundry Roundtable as well when we were over there. There is one dev guy working on the Foundry, but he rarely talks, and I think they said he might talk in the forums, but I don't go to the forums. I hate the arguments and stuff over there. I'll just go there when I post episodes and stuff and see what the general feel for the community is. But if you just talk to us and tell us what's going on, it'd be great, because right now we got a lot of Foundry authors sitting here just going, do we make a mission or what? What's happening with the Foundry? Should I wait till the new cool thing comes out? I know a lot of authors who would have some mission ideas are just kind of waiting around to see what happens next. So I don't know, but that's the news this week. While not really super awesome for the Foundry, hopefully something cool comes out. But next up is our review for Admiral BoBo. Now I'm going to play an audio clip that was recorded from our TeamSpeak, so it's just audio only. But this will be Jupiter Force members giving you their opinion on Admiral BoBo Goes to War.
Oh, absolutely awesome. Play it if you just for the dialogue, nothing else.
You like the writing? You think this guy's the next American novelist?
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah. All right, Tanara, for what you did play, what did you think?
I thought it was great. The storyline was fantastic. I really felt like I knew these characters on a deep personal level. The story, it sucked me in. I'm still have it ringing in my ears.
All right, let's see what our literate British guy has to say on this mission. How does this stack up against other British literature there, Killer Ben, since Wee Wee's not here right now?
Good question. Easily better than Harry Potter.
Easily? Yeah. No stupid kids in
Easily.
this one.
No.
No, not at all. Just awesome animals and dead people.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if you like Death and Carnage, definitely the mission for you. It's got explosions everywhere. It's like a Michael Bay film. But with a plot. All right, Mr. Delta, you're up. Step up to the plate. What did you think?
12 out of 5. Obviously the next Twilight. The main character, Mr. Bobo, shows the epitome of humanity's essence. I'm going to retake on that. The main character, Mr. Bobo, shows the epitome of human essence in his ability to push a tiny red button.
What lessons does humanity have to learn from Admiral BoBo here?
Only the greatest of all. Life is a little red button. You must learn to push your boundaries. Repeatedly.
I see. All right, Ethior, you're up.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good way to make some money, this is it. It's like the author had found a certain previous and unmentioned mission for loot farming and had decided to take his own take on it with much better humor.
Yeah, it's not like the whole top rated list is cluttered with this type of stuff. I mean, unique right here.
Yeah.
Lord of Time, what did you think?
Well, I say that was the most incredible story I've ever read. I would say I've read thousands of books in my time, and not one of them even came close to the level of writing in that story. The characters were so interesting, the humor was unfathomable. It's just the greatest story ever written.
Spud, are you here? If you're here, you can go ahead and give your opinion now. I don't think he's here now. He's not here.
My God, the story has rendered him speechless.
He's blown away. So
Wait, I think he's fainted.
No, I think he's doing his impression of the ship's chef.
But in all honesty, guys, this mission it raises all their missions to a new bar. I mean, Alamac, his missions are screwed at this point.
Raise a new bar, forget it. The bar is gone. It's out of sight.
Whoa! It's going over the third base, and it's out of here!
To be fair, this mission isn't perfect. It needed more rocks.
What issue did you have with this mission? Anybody have any complaints on the mission at all? I mean...
I was confused as to how he could have a ship from 500 years in the future. That was all.
I see.
It needed more rocks.
Yeah, more Hordas. Hordas in space. Need a planet killer, maybe?
Of course.
Not enough scanning.
I didn't get a single luck box.
Yeah, and no purple
We need
drops.
more
What the
luck
fuck?
box.
You know what? This mission is not worth playing. I hate this mission now. We didn't get a single purple drop. This is a pile of crap here.
Is it horrible? Just
Horrible. No, did you guys read this story? It's ultimate crap. I mean, the dialogue is terrible. It breaks canon everywhere.
It made me want to tear out my eyes.
And who was this Bobo guy? Nothing was explained about who Bobo was.
Yeah, he just like pops out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh, bark, 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 I'll hit the button.
It's the same level as...
Don't you mean meow, meow, meow?
I don't give a crap. I didn't get my purple drop at all. So you know what? This Foundry mission is ultimate crap. You know what? Nobody go out and play this. You know what? I'm going to officially review this and poop on it. Here we go.
We're angry Joe.
I changed my review. Negative 12 out of 5.
All right, let's go down. You know what? We all here have to say, nobody play this mission. That's it. We're done. If you can't give this the time of day to give us a stinking purple drop in this mission, nobody should bother playing it. In fact, I am quite confused as to how this made it to the top of the top rated list, like, for a while, and now it's at third. I can see why it went down. People are starting to see what a joke this is. I mean, nobody wants blues and greens anymore. It's all in the purples.
I agree. This is about as bad as the plotline to Star Trek. Why didn't Nero go back to Romulus and warn everybody about the Hobus star and it explodes in the future? What's up with this mission?
Even worse, this is the next Twilight.
You know what? Yeah, this is the next Twilight. In fact, I bet this guy wrote frickin' Into Darkness. This is how bad it is. So, done. That's it. This mission's over.
The story makes me ashamed to be human.
Yeah, there's nothing to learn from this mission at all. No morals, nothing. You know what? Gene Roddenberry, he's probably tossed again in his grave at the creation of this. This is bad. Oh, God.
Screw them.
You guys need to get a life.
So why are we reviewing a grinder mission on this podcast? Because the audience doesn't play these, most likely. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Well, let me explain before you people go. I just wasted a whole review, because there's a point I want to make to this. So Admiral BoBo Goes to War is the third highest mission when you go to the standard search. So you got the top rated, which has been spotlighted by Cryptic, but immediately when you click on the other stuff, without doing a search or going to custom, the list pops up. This was, I think, in first for a while, because we've made fun of this on the show before, because this just sounded like a dumb mission, because Bobo sounds like a monkey name, like an Admiral Monkey thing, which basically that's what it did turn out to be. It was a Salot. But, spoilers, I'm going to spoil this mission, because even though it says it's a grinder mission with story, we'll get into that. But anyway, this is now third highest, with the easy version being about the fifth highest mission overall made in the Foundry. Now usually Foundry files back in the day, when we were with Stoked, that podcast way long ago. Not Stoked Radio, Stoked, that was no Mike Chris. And so we decided then we'd review good missions, because we wanted to bring up missions to people who would go play them, because if we just trashed a mission, people would just go, okay, we're not going to play them, and kind of just waste their time. The only exception would be if we could teach Foundry authors or the general public something that would help them make a mission or play good ones in the future, something like that. And eventually it did become just we reviewed the good missions, because we only got on about every couple weeks, because Stoked had to be in a certain time slot. So Foundry Files didn't get it on all the time, which is why we spun off into our own show. It's just so we could review missions each week. But the problem here with Admiral BoBo Goes to War is it's definitely not the third highest mission. And let me tell you why. Because here at Foundry Files, we critique missions to death. We rip them apart and see what's good, what's bad. So we have all these little pieces of the mission. We say, okay, is this part good? Is this part good? Is this part bad? What's going on here? So let's start with story. I'm not going to do it as usual, because one, Wee-Wee's not here, and two, I don't think it really needs the full-on review, but I'll quickly go through each story, technical, and gameplay, and see, is this really worth being in the top 3? Let's find out. So the plot of the story, this mission is plugged as a grinder with story, which, if you remember way back ago, there was something called the Foundry War, where nothing happened except people raged. But basically it was people saying, oh, the Foundry's for story, and I could see this mission being like, oh, okay, so we can't make grinder missions without story? Well, here's your story. And so, and it's not a story. In fact, the plot got a 1 in the category, because it is a really bad story. It's kind of laughable. Now, the difference here is you can make a Foundry mission with a good story that kind of isn't meant to be taken seriously at points. Like Haverhaw's missions that we've reviewed, Muds Goes to War, the Muds Weapons, that's what it is. That one wasn't serious at times. Like, you had Thought Vader, obviously rip off of Darth Vader, and you had like Mud and his inventions and weird robots and stuff, and at times it was like funny, but it still had an overall story that you could take seriously, like oh, you got to get these plasma weapons and stuff. This one, it falls apart basically because of the dialogue. So the characters aren't memorable, so I'm just going to say that there. There's barely any effort put into them, and the dialogue, it's tough because it is really funny to read, but it does not fit in the Star Trek universe at all. You'll read this and just be like, Starfleet officers would never say that. There's a way to do it where it can be funny but still work with canon. It doesn't work with canon. In fact, canon's just completely broken in this mission. But so I want to play a few dialogue clips for me, because before the Jupiter Force members talked about this mission, we played through the mission and acted out the dialogue. So here's a few clips of how brilliant the writing is in this mission.
Nothing but green drops. I think I'm gonna be sick.
Ah, don't do it, soldier. Not on my new Mark 12 super rare console.
Vice Admiral, that last shot damaged our shields. If we have a moment to spare before the next ship arrives, I recommend sending away teams out to search for survivors, or more importantly, useful salvage where I try and realign the shield emitters.
See what you can find, but make it fast. Oh, and see if you can salvage a cup holder from my chair. I'm getting kind of thirsty.
Good luck.
Whatever you say, Commander Kitty. I'll get it done. Wow, you're a bit scary. Ensign Buckley. Target the nearest enemy ship and fire.
Holy crap, sir! He just dropped dead! What? Now what? Who's left? Wait, Vice Admiral, don't look at me like that! No, don't smile! Starfleet regulations clearly state that it's not...
To hell with regulations, Ensign! This is an emergency! Bring me Admiral Bobo.
Yes, sir!
Oh, and don't forget his leash this time. There's my Admiral Bobo. Time to teach these bad people a lesson, isn't it, boy? Here, I got it. Greetings, Vice Admiral. Finally, a loyal worthy of me. You have more nothing here today, and my ritual... Wait, is that a Sailot manning your tactical station? Oh, come on, really? What? Just because you can't get a TAR to find its rear in the dark with the flashlight is no reason. How dare you? My TAR, Mr. Tinkles, can best the scabby fleabag any day. Mr. Tinkles to the bridge! We march to war! Oh.
So yeah, touchstoning Section 31 was mentioned once at the end, and I was surprised because I was like, oh, it seems like this guy didn't know anything about Star Trek. Grammar and spelling were okay. There was a few minor errors, but story got a 3.28. I'm not even bothering saying the ranking because the ranking got in last. But so story, no. If you're a story fan, don't. Just because it says this is a story with a grinder mission, you're not gonna have fun. So on to technical. It's funny because you would think, oh, this is just a cheaply made grinder mission. They just threw ships on a map. It's not going to score high. Well, it didn't score high. It's still our lowest one. Technically got a 4.71. But I got to give props to the author because they found this nice little workaround, which, hey, I know I was called out in the past for mixing grinders and exploits together. But I'll let you decide, and I'll let Cryptic decide whether this is an exploit. But basically, the Foundry author has made it where you warp in. So basically, I didn't explain the plot too well, but you're going after Cleons who are trying to invade New Romulus or something like that, but they're coming through a transwarp conduit in another system. So you've set up a tachyon grid at the edge of their transwarp conduit, which apparently you know about before they come through it. But the trap is the Cleons will warp in and their shields will be disabled. And as long as you stay out of that area of effect, your shields will be up and you can just fire and blow them up, which leads to you being able to take on 3 battleships at once. So of course they'll drop their loot and you'll pick it up and you'll get a lot of XP from it too. In fact, when we played this in a group, we killed dreadnoughts with no problem. When of course when they have their shields up and all that stuff, they can be quite a pain. I love that you're the voice you're doing right now on my screen. It's showing my Jem'Hadar.
Same.
Yep, I'm getting kicked again.
It's so dumb. Cryptic, fix it.
Oh, that's right. I should probably heal.
Maybe a little bit. So one thing I do want to mention, this mission, it's much easier if you're on your own, because the only thing that's going to hurt you is the isometric charge. Other than that, you're pretty much good to go. So basically the technical trick for this is the nebula static effect. boy, that's like the sin of all missions from old-time Foundry authors, when everybody would throw that in their mission. Well, for this mission, the author throws in the Nebula static effect, will spawn his Cleons inside of it, so their shields are up, and he tells the players to stay on the outside, so your shields are up. So basically, it leads to a very unbalanced battle where you can just cream the enemy in a few seconds, especially if you're an escort. I did this in a science ship. Of course, they're not meant for DPS, but I still was able to rip apart these bad guys, which is like, huh, I know in a science character, or at least in a science ship, it takes a while to kill some bad guys, but with this, it was fast. And you take on about 37 waves between 2 maps with multiple groups sometimes in each wave. So you get a lot of kills and a lot of loot. I know Cryptic didn't bash grinder missions and say we have a problem with these, it's just the exploits. I'm just saying it as it is. This feels kind of like an exploit to me, Cryptic, so maybe you might want to take a look at it. I don't know. You make up your own mind and decide, but sitting outside the Nebula static effect just to kill your bad guys really quick and get loot seems sort of exploity. It is a crafty way to kind of overcome it, but it does seem exploity when you come down to it. The gameplay. So speaking of that, the only gameplay value from this mission is just to kill these bad guys. I'm not even gonna bother with the non-combat stuff. It is all space, so ground was taken out of this. But for this, there's nothing. You don't scan anything, nothing like that. So no space gameplay value at all. It's just shooting stuff. And it's boring because the enemies aren't going to fight back. They'll shoot back, but you've got your shields up and they don't, so they're going to be dead anyway in a few seconds. And you do this like 37 waves, so it gets really boring and repetitive. So basically, you're not doing this for a fun value. And the people who play this mission and enjoy it, quotes because they give it 5 stars, I don't see them having fun with it, but they're getting their gear at the end of the day, so they're happy with it. But other than that, there's no real reason to play it, or even if you don't care for the loot. Like, I didn't care for the loot. I didn't even pick up any of it on the playthrough. But, there's no real reason to do it other than for the loot. And no real replayability value. There's no, like, optional dialogue and stuff. So, overall... Oh, gameplay got a 4 here. But overall, it scored a 4.00, which puts it at the lowest. Now, that's picking it apart. Of course, the grinder missions aren't really looking for it to be good anywhere on there. They're just looking to, what's the quickest way I can get my loot and go? And the reason I wanted to cover this mission is to show these are poorly put together. If you rip them apart, there's nothing really that shines through about them. Yet, it is at the top of the top-rated stuff. And there are a lot of missions like this that are at the top of the top-rated. You scroll through those first 50 missions, and I'd say about half of them are either grinders or farming missions. There are a few still up there that have been really well reviewed that are still there. Like, I know I saw Avenging Resolution by AJ Stoner that we played a while ago. That's still there, but it's not at the top like it was. I don't even remember. I think a story mission is at the top if you exclude the new spotlight or whatever that automatically takes the top always. I think there's still a story at the top, but immediately followed is a bunch of farming missions. And even if farming missions aren't bad in the Foundry, and Cryptic doesn't have a problem with people just making missions to go kill things. Like, there's dailies that do that. I mean, there's a little bit of story thrown into them. I don't have a problem with those. But this is just a mission to go in, kill the stuff. Heck, you can probably go AFK, just set your weapons to auto-fire, and you're good. Especially with this Nebula static effect. You can just set your weapons to AFK, sit there. And the only reason you have to come back is for the pop-up dialogues. So that you can kind of get away with it there. You can't really go AFK on these. But the problem is these aren't high-quality missions. Out of everything made in the Foundry, they're not top-rated material. Yet they're making it there because the whole grinder community is 5-starring these, so they go up. So, Cryptic, when people go to the Foundry interface and they're done with all your spotlighted content, and they say, okay, what else is made by the Foundry? And they click on your the other missions, the other search tab. This is the type of stuff that's filling up the list right now, and that's the impression new users are getting if they're not looking at the spotlighted stuff. And it's not really a good one, I think, to send out there, especially for people who are honestly looking for the story content. Like, if I was a new user and saw all this farming stuff, it would be extremely hard to find good story missions without word of mouth, or podcast. Basically, it makes it that the spotlight has to be relied on. And the problem with the spotlight having to be relied on is it's only one a week. I know this. It's only one a week, and they're not every week. There's been some gaps here. I'm not saying Brandflix isn't doing his job, because he is. He's got tons of stuff going on, so he doesn't always have the time to get one out every week, because he has to play through all these and make sure they're good. The problem is it's become relied upon to find story missions for the average community. And that's bad, because it's only one mission per week, so you're only getting one. And it's not every week. There are sometimes gaps, because you can't get it every week, which is okay. But the problem is then the community is relying on that to play their missions, and that's only one out of how many are in the Foundry? There are tons, whether good or bad. There are tons of story missions out there, and they're all being put down by these cheaply made missions to just get your loot and stuff. And that's a problem, and it can be easily solved by what's been pitched before, and nothing's ever been said on it by Cryptic, is a better search interface, which I have not played Neverwinter. I have heard they've done something different with it, but if you've played Neverwinter and they've done something different with their search, let me know. But basically, we need tags. It's basic. We covered this a while ago. Nothing's been said on it since. And out of everything that could come into the Foundry, we need the tagging system for sure, even if it's just as simple as separating story and grinder missions, because for me, grinder missions are nowhere near the top of my top rated stuff, and they're at the very bottom. Yet when I go into the Foundry, there's no way to filter that out. Now all my top rated stuff that I'm going to see is farming and grinders with a few story, whereas mine would be great story missions like made by Alamac and so on. Whatever, basically my top 10 is the one from the Foundry show, Foundry Files. But so that's something I would like Cryptic to look into, is possibly improving the searching feature of the Foundry, especially because I want to point this out. I'm showing you, Cryptic, that this is the third ranked mission when you go in, which of course the 5-star rating system is broken. We've covered that in the past. Other people have. It's just a broken system, but this is what's being shown on the top of your top rated stuff. So it's up to you to decide whether you're okay with that or not. I'm just bringing it to your attention. But anyway, I want to get into community feedback to a question for Foundry authors out there, and I want to poll your opinion. So let's get into that. Okay, so it's been kind of a ranty episode, and mainly because as a Foundry author, I'm not very happy with the state of Foundry, and neither are a lot of Foundry authors. So I want to poll Foundry authors' opinions out there on what keeps you going with the Foundry as an author. So I tried to get back into authoring in the Foundry when Legacy Romulus launched and the Foundry finally opened back up. But the problem was that the Foundry crashed. You couldn't really do anything. Map previews took forever to load, and I stopped. And I was like, not worth my time. And the problem is a lot of other Foundry authors have said this. But other authors are continuing to author missions, like Havraha made his Monolith mission, which I play, which awesome. Maybe we'll review it on a future show. But what's keeping you going as a Foundry author? What keeps you authoring? What keeps you excited? Because as a player, I'm still excited to play new missions, because while a lot of the problems are affecting authoring in the Foundry, the missions are at least still working and up, and as a player, that's great, because we've played some awesome missions recently, and they're fun. It's just when you get in as a Foundry author, it's really a pain in the neck, and with no updates, no bug fixes, nothing said about it, what's keeping Foundry authors going right now? What's keeping you from just dropping and going, what? Now, I'm on the fence because I haven't authored anything for a while, so I'm just kind of the bystander. If you've been authoring recently, this question is especially for you. I want to hear what you have to say. But yeah, just leave your comments anywhere where this episode is posted. I think I might have a forum thread set up in the future for this. I was meaning to do it before I recorded this thing, but I didn't get around to it. Or you can email us foundryfiles@gmail.com, where you can also leave your episode feedback, mission review suggestions, stuff like that, where you can just get in contact with us. Future plans for Foundry Files include, hopefully we will have an episode next week. We still got some stuff going on, so I don't know yet, but hopefully we'll be back then. The week afterwards, I'll be in Colorado, where I'm not going to shoot an episode because, one, I don't think I could. I don't have the recording equipment with me, and two, I'm on vacation, so wait a week. But after that, I'll be at the Star Trek Las Vegas, bam, that's why I got my Vegas shirt on, convention. So if you're going there, feel free to say hi, because I know a few people on Twitter who've been saying, oh, I'm so pumped for this. Other podcasters I'm excited to meet there, or re-meet, because I met a lot last year. But if you're there, feel free to say hi. I'll either be at the different shows or at the Stoked Radio, Trek Radio booth, hanging out with other podcasters and stuff. But feel free to say hi there. There will be a live Foundry Files shot at Vegas. So the plan is, we do have it confirmed. Maverick, who's doing all the broadcasting and stuff, he's the host over at Stoked Radio, we can Skype call Wee Wee during the show, so he will be on that episode. And the plan is we will show the Foundry off to a completely new user just to show the tool off, because of course there are going to be a lot of people walking by the booth we'll be filming. So it's a great opportunity just to show people what the heck is the Foundry tool, what's in it, and stuff like that. The only problem is I hope it's up and working by then, because if it's all laggy and broken, that's going to stink for making a simple mission. So hopefully Cryptic get that fixed, because we're going to be showing that off to people at Vegas, and if it's not working, that's going to be bad. But, so yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll also be covering our top 10 list again. We did one at the end of the year last year where we covered our top 10 missions that were from the Foundry ranking table. We'll be doing the same for our summer list, because it has changed up quite a bit. There's still some that have remained at the top or on the top 10, but there's been a lot of new ones that have joined that, so we'll be discussing them, because it's also a great way to tell people, hey, these are some great missions if you get into Stove, because of seeing it at the convention here. If you go into the Foundry, these are some great ones to start out with that we've checked out and reviewed on the show. So that's the plans for Vegas there. But again, leave your feedback, and we will see you next week. Later.